welcome to the one and only Team Two.
G'day guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, August the 10th, 2026. And great to have you all along. As you can see there, as promised, for Big J there's the Aussie Boxing Talk t-shirt. So thank you, Big J. I said if you sent me one, I'd wear it, and there it is. I'm not sure if you're selling them on your YouTube page, but Aussie Boxing Talk with old mate Big J. He's been pretty vocal the last couple of days. Since yesterday with what happened with the girls on the weekend. I've seen a couple of comments there. I haven't watched the video yet, Big J, but I've got the gist of what you've been on about. I know you sent me a text message this morning, so sure you want to talk about that tonight. So if you haven't been on the show before, as it says there, Talking Boxing, put your comment, question, remark, whatever it might be, into the chat, and we'll get on with it. And also a special shout out to the people, the 30 or 40 people that listen every week on Spotify. So thanks for listening. All right, let's get into the show, and we're going to start with Sweet As tonight. He's beaten Big J to the punch with the first questions there. What do you got there, mate? Hi, Lynden. Spent a great few days in New Zealand for Nyika Mason. Was a good close fight. Floyd started well. I had him up 4-2 after 6 rounds with a couple very close that could have gone either way. Yeah, I had it the same, Sweet As. I had it 4-2 after 6, but I just thought after that, David Nyika just took over. And I don't think it was, the thing was, I don't think it was a matter of David Nyika, fighting out of his skin or, suddenly turning into, Roy Jones Jr. I just think it was just a matter of the way Masson fought. He just made it very, very easy or easier for Nyika. And look, Nyika, he boxed well. He was on the back foot. He was using a good jab. He was countering Masson with right hands. But the way Masson sort of fought just made it a lot easier for him, if that makes sense. Because the way he was coming forward, he wasn't really moving his head a lot, wasn't setting up any punches. He wasn't really jabbing coming in. He was just sort of walking up and just telegraphing whatever punch he was throwing, and really just ended up being target practice for David Nyika. And credit to David Nyika, obviously, because he fought a very, very good fight. But I was puzzled that Floyd Masson really made it easy for him. Now, I know, or easier for him. I understand that with fatigue and maybe a little bit of frustration and whatever it might be, that that might have affected Floyd Masson as well. But yeah, just the fact that he couldn't change it up. He really didn't really know how to change the game plan or as I said, even just come in and move the head and jab coming in. It was just pretty much, well, I'll just walk after you and telegraph a big right hand or something and just allow you to pick me off. That's the way it sort of looked to me, they're Sweet As. So, but yeah, full credit to David Nyika. I mean, he had to win the fight, didn't he? And he did. And I thought he did a really, really good job of outboxing Floyd Masson. So well done to David Nyika. Still with Sweet As. In the second half of the fight, Nyika made the adjustments and found his range. I thought Floyd got a bit tired and started missing. Nyika was countering him well after a miss. Yeah, so pretty much along the lines of what I just said there, mate. You agree. Yeah, you're right. Nyika made adjustment and did find his range. And as I said, whether it was frustration or fatigue or whatever it was that happened to Floyd Masson, he just couldn't get himself going. Couldn't sort of pull the trigger and get close to Nyika and do his thing inside. So, but yeah, you're right. Nyika was countering well, and especially those counter right hands were just dominating all night, weren't they? So, fantastic again for David Nyika. What have we got there? All right. After the 10th round, I thought Floyd needed the knockout or at least a knockdown to draw. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it. Full credit to Nyika. He was a better man on the night. Yeah, Yeah, well, the commentators were sort of saying that it was sort of pretty even after 10 or 11, I think it was. But yeah, after maybe 11, I had it, maybe 8 rounds to 3 really, or 7 rounds to 4 maybe. But either way, David Nyika was in control. And I just think, yeah, Floyd wouldn't be happy with that performance. I think that in hindsight, he would probably look back and maybe look to do a few things differently. Because I thought for the first half of the fight, he was actually pretty good. It's just in the second half of the fight, David Nyika really sort of, as you said before, found his range and rhythm and everything else, his distance, and was just able to counter Nyika. So, counter Masson. So, you're right, the better man did win on the night. Last one for you there, Sweet As. Where do you think each of them go from here? Obviously, Nyika should get a shot at the vacant IBF belt against Vidal Riley before the end of the year. Floyd maybe versus Luke Medini. Yeah, that's... Ooh. Are they in the same camp? Are they promoted by Ace Boxing? I know they were. Not that really makes a hell of a lot of difference, does it? But you're right. Nyika will get a shot at the IBF belt. I just want to have a look and see. It probably won't come up here on BoxRec. It's going to make me log in and do all this weird sort of stuff. Let's see. I'll type in Vidal Riley. No, it's going to ask for verification. Does BoxRec really care whether I'm a human or not? I mean, come on. I'm just not sure when he last fought there, Sweet As. I just want to type in his name and we'll see what comes up. All right. See if anything comes up here. All right, so there's his BoxRec. So he's 14-0, 7 knockouts. Last fought, I forgot about that. He beat Matus Masternak back in April. Okay, so yeah, it does make sense. Before that, he'd been out of the ring for a year. So yeah, it does make sense that they would fight at the end of the year. Was a pretty tough fight for Nyika though, but you would think that if they fight November, December or something like that, he should be nice and well and truly healed and ready to go by then. So that's on his agenda. Pretty weird though, isn't it, that he's going to be fighting for the IBF belt that was pummeled for pretty much by Jai Pattaya last year. So thanks to the guy up there, the person that gave me a thumbs down, by the way. Yeah, no drama. We're on air for about 20 seconds and gives a thumbs down. We don't focus on peanuts like that, though. We focus on the good ones out there. 90s are giving me the thumb up, so thank you. Yeah, so, and that's for, I don't know about Floyd versus Luke Medini. I just think it's a risky fight, although Floyd maybe doesn't have a lot of options after this. Maybe it's his only option is to fight someone like a Luke Medini. That's a dangerous fight. Medini, he's a big puncher. I'm not sure what effect this has on Floyd Masson, whether he goes back down the ratings a lot or maybe he comes back up. Who knows? But anyway, all will be revealed. He's got to heal first, and then we'll see how he goes after that. All right. Who we got there? I can see it is Shadow Boxer. How are you there, mate? Thanks for joining in the show. And thank you to whoever it was gave me a thumb down. Just corrected themselves and gave me the thumbs up. Thank you very much. All right, it's crazy how different fight fitness is versus being fit. All the jump rope drills, bag work, runs feel like they go out the window 2 rounds into sparring. Need to learn to relax and breathe in there. Yeah, look, it does weird and wonderful things to you, Shadow Boxer. You're right, 100% right. That, and after being through this, this is what I have about 100 fights, whatever. It didn't change any fights I had, mate. 100 times I got in there, and 100 times I felt exactly the same. Is that you feel great fitness-wise, and then in the first 30 seconds, you're absolutely gassed because just the nerves and the anticipation and all that sort of stuff sort of comes into it. And this is what always makes me laugh, though, when you get people say, "Oh, it's only 3 minutes. It's only 3 minutes. How hard can it be?" Well, try and get in there with someone that's actually throwing punches back at you and see how you go after even about 1 minute. It's a pretty long time in there, and unfortunately, no one will save you once the bell rings. Only the referee and maybe your corner can save you. That's about it. But yeah, it's a totally different fitness, and as he's sparring as well compared to fighting. I mean, even you talk about fitness there, but even just the fight prep compared to the sparring prep, or when you're sparring compared to your fighting, is completely different as well. And we hear a lot of stories about such and such did well against such and such in sparring, and But I can tell you it means nothing in the scheme of things, because when you're sparring, you get a lot more relaxed. You're maybe not switched on as much as you should be. Your opponent might be in fight mode and you're in sparring mode. So lots of different things. But what I will say, mate, whether it's gym versus the ring, whether it's be fitness or sparring, whatever it is, completely different to when you're actually in the ring and someone's actually throwing punches at you. So you're right. All right, Big J. First comment from you. What do you got there? K. Scott. All right. Unfortunately, K. Scott will be soundly defeated over the weekend, as well as the only reason Sky will remain champ is because she withdrew from the fight. Aussie women's dominance is over. Well, do we ever have Aussie dominance, Big J? I'm not so sure. Obviously, been going fantastically for the girls. We had so what do we got? We had 3 world champions. 4, sorry, didn't we? We had 4 world champions, and now we're back to 2. Kay Scott, yeah, going to be tough for her this weekend. Make no mistake about that. And Sky Nicholson, well, she's got some tough fights coming up at 122 as well. So I wouldn't say we were dominating, but we're doing very, very well. But I think you've got to look at it for what it was yesterday. Both girls are up against very, very good opponents, and just weren't able to match it on the day. So I'm sure you've got a lot more to say about that, Big J. But I am with you. I think Kay Scott is up against it this weekend. We'll agree with you with that. And Clarissa Shields, it's a big mountain to climb, isn't it? Coming up against, arguably the number 1 female fighter in the sport. All right. Still with Big J. I've been waiting for this one to come up. Hopefully these women can be a lesson learned for upcoming women boxers not to use it as a front for other interests and focus on the boxing, because this weekend was embarrassing. I'm not going to say it's embarrassing, Big J. That's been a bit harsh there, I reckon. It's not embarrassing at all. Look, I do agree to some extent that I don't agree with the whole OF, or what was it, OnlyFans, whatever it's called. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I've never seen it. But look, I'm not going to begrudge anyone from trying to make as much money as they can from their appeal, and while they're in the sport, the longevity in the sport. I haven't got a problem with it. I know morally we might have a problem with it, with technically women sort of selling themselves online, but it is a subscription-based thing. It's not my thing, but I'm certainly not going to judge the girls that have got the assets to do it, I suppose. And I'm assuming guys do it as well. I don't know much about it, but I know the perception of OnlyFans is not great. And I'm with you. I don't like it. But these women they don't get paid like the men. They're only in the sport for a short amount of time. They've got to maximize every single dollar they earn. And if they've got the assets, again, why not use it? And I mean, it's no different to, not that we make much money out of it. We're on here making some money out of it. We're monetizing, I suppose, our assets, our talents, whatever you might want to call it, for monetary return. Is it any different? I suppose morally it is, but again, it's not my thing, mate, but I haven't got an issue with it. If they want to do that, I don't see it. I don't see it on their social media. I just see them fighting or boxing, training, whatever. So I don't see all that sort of stuff, but I'm not going to begrudge anyone that uses what they have to make a dollar. And so many people do it in different ways of life. It just so happens they do it on a platform that allows them for people to see bits and pieces they might not see in normal Instagram life. As far as embarrassing, I will strongly disagree with that. How can it be embarrassing? The 2 girls went over there. They took on very, very good opponents. Both undefeated opponents, and they were just beaten by better fighters on the day. I mean, Tam Theobald, she is a hell of a fighter, or she will be a hell of a fighter. I mean, she really took it to Desley Robinson yesterday. And Shanika Johnson, well, she was out of her depth against Dina Thorson, who's a very, very good fighter and probably top 5 pound-for-pound boxer in the female ranks. So, yeah, I'm not going to say any Aussie or any athlete or anyone really that trains hard for 10 or 12 weeks and goes overseas and, puts their life on hold, their family, friends, everything else, and trains their guts out for a world title fight, or any fight for that matter. So I think embarrassing is very, very harsh there, Big J, but it's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But I'm not going to call just the fact that they lost one-sided decision. I'm not going to call that embarrassing, because they they gave up a lot, or they continue to give up a lot. They gave it their all. They were representing Australia as best they could, and they come up short. So I don't know how you can be embarrassed by that. I'm sure you've got a few more comments there, mate. What do you got there? It's about Shanika, is it? Shanika. All right, here we go. Despite my rant, I think Shanika deserves a rematch as she was undisputed champion and got it. Oh, sorry, and should get an opportunity to redeem herself. Dina would just beat her again, but Shanika at least deserves a rematch. Yeah, I'm with you. I think if you're an undisputed champion and you've lost a decision, I mean, even though it was one-sided, I think no problem. There should be a rematch there. I mean, Shanika, well, I was just going to say maybe she didn't have to fight Dina Thorson and opted to give her an opportunity. At some stage, they would have mandated her to fight her. And I'm not sure whether that was the case, but yeah, no, I think she deserves a rematch. I think if you're an undisputed champion and you lose your title, I think you're entitled to another shot. Now, I'm probably with you. I don't think it ends any differently. Although, having said that, I did say in my video this morning that I don't think in hindsight Shanika Johnson would have really looked back on the way she fought favourably, because she, in the last few fights, what sort of got her over the line is her aggressiveness. She's really stood centre ring and really, like early in her career, she boxed a little bit like she boxed yesterday, and she was outboxed by Shannon O'Connell and Ellie Scottney, but that style didn't really suit her. When she sort of switched to being that sort of come forward type of fighter, it's actually been very successful for her. She's very fit, she's strong, throws good punches. And I think she went away from that yesterday, and I think she just played into Dina Thorson's hands just by simply boxing or trying to box from a distance. It just made it a hell of a lot easier for Dina Thorson. Look, it's easy in hindsight as well, by the way, or easy sitting out here saying she should have done this or she should have done that. End of the day, we're not in there, and Thorson's a very, very awkward fighter. So, but I just think the way she was losing the rounds, why not throw caution to the wind and just say, all right, well, I'm 5 or 6 rounds down here. The only way I'm going to have an opportunity at all is to just to go for it. And I just couldn't believe how sort of easy she made it for Thorson just by simply boxing at long range and allowing Thorson to dominate the whole pace of the fight. And I just thought too, with Thorson sort of not being overly active in the last sort of year or so, that played into her hands by allowing her to dictate the pace, because she never got out of her comfort zone once, Dina Thorson. And I just thought Shanika Johnson, if she had to just maybe bit down in the mouthpiece a little bit and really sort of maybe threw a few bombs at Dina Thorson, it might have just given her something to think about. But anyway, that's again easy in hindsight, isn't it? All right. Oh, the shirt. Where's that comment I just saw there? Looking good in the shirt. That'll increase your testosterone by 50 and grow them biceps by 4 inches. Yeah, I look huge, don't I? Hang on, I just need me. Hang on, I've got the hat here. I just need me sunnies on now, don't I? Yeah, and I reckon everyone's shit, and I don't reckon anyone can do shit. I'm just joking, Big J. But yeah, I just need the sunnies now, don't I? I'm inside. You're allowed to wear your sunnies inside. But yeah, geez, you're right though. Suddenly my biceps do feel a little bit bigger. All right, let's get on with it. What else have we got there? Drew, where are you, Drew? This is about Connor Ben. Where is it? There it is. I'll just have a drink here. All right, Drew, in light of Conor Benn fighting for a legitimate world title and other Zuffa fighters doing so on the weekend, it is my belief that the Zuffa belt has been Jai's problem. Yeah, 100% has been his problem, Drew. And there hasn't been a Zuffa title fight since that initial first show that they did with Jai. So I did see, I think Jay McCallus did an interview with Eddie Hearn that I watched today, and and he did say that he thinks that Jai's been sort of he's been pushed into this whole thing with the legal action and all this sort of stuff, and Zuffa sort of making him be a bit of a scapegoat and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, and obviously the Zuffa belt was the reason why he was stripped by the IBF. So, look, a bit in hindsight, again, we've been talking about hindsight a little bit tonight, but I think that if Jai had his time again, he would have maybe done a little bit more research into the whole IBF thing, but also maybe just allowed one of the more sort of bigger names, I suppose. Not that there was a lot of big names sort of signed up by the time he but before he joined Zuffa. But maybe just let someone sort of be the pioneer of the whole thing. It just so happened to be Jai, and it's cost him his IBF belt. So, yeah. But since then, no Zuffa belts have been on the line. There was the IBF middleweight title on the line yesterday, but no Zuffa belt. So, unfortunately, it looks like this has been the problem for Jai. And I'll say it again, I can't believe that Dana White has pretty much just hung Jai out to dry. I'm sure that he would have said, no, it's all good, we're under control with the whole Zuffa and IBF thing. And then when it went sour, he's pretty much cut Jai loose and said, well, you go and do your thing. And I think he said last week or the week before, whatever it was, that it's got nothing to do with me, he said. It's Jai's problem. He's doing it. So, which I thought was a complete cop-out. So, all right. Still with Drew. Where it is. All right. Notice that after almost a year of Zuffa in operation, Jai is the only Zuffa fighter with a belt. He was a guinea pig experiment gone wrong. Yeah, pretty much what I said then, Drew. Yep, I agree. I would think since that point, probably a couple of things have happened. We've had the fighters that are under the Zuffa banner have said, look, I don't want to fight. I don't want to have the Zuffa belt on the line while I've got another belt, or I potentially want to fight for another belt. And then you've got maybe Zuffa saying, geez, we really don't want to rock the boat anymore here and have any more drama. So let's just put the Zuffa belt on hold for a little while. And look, again, in hindsight, another one for tonight, I think Dana White would have done a little bit more homework and maybe given boxing a little bit more respect than what he did. Now, it's pretty obvious that he's just said, boxing it's screwed up and it's this and it's that. It's there for the taking. Screw these sanctioning bodies. We're just going to march in there, sign all the best fighters and just make our belt number one, and that'll be it. But what he hasn't banked on is that the fighters coming up, and I spoke to Glenn Jennings about this yesterday. Check that out on this channel, the interview I did with him yesterday. And I think they've underestimated what the 4 belts mean to fighters these days. Even the young ones coming up, we've all been sort of raised on these are the big 4 belts. And I just think the fighters these days cherish the belts. They want the belts. And let's face it, the only reason they go to Zuffa is because for the money. I mean, and I don't blame them, don't get me wrong. But it depends on whether you want legacy as far as the traditional belts or you just want the cash. Now, you might be in Jai's position. Unfortunately, he wanted both, made the wrong decision, and now, wrong decision for now. He's got the cash, but he hasn't got a belt. Again, that might change going forward. And then you've got probably fighters like Shakur Stevenson and potentially Devin Haney and these types of guys that say, belts, whatever. It doesn't really concern me. I'm after the cash. So each to their own, but I am in agreement with you there, mate, that he has been a guinea pig experiment gone wrong. And it's amazing how quickly Zuffa sort of retreated and changed everything, because all of a sudden they're dealing with other promoters. They've allowed title fights on their cards, and this is all things that Dana White said right from the word go they weren't interested in. And I've got a feeling that the fighters have been talking to us and say, hey, look, I'm not going to come over unless we can do this or we can do that. And he's had no choice but to change tack, because if he didn't, then he'd be sitting over there with a couple of hundred just journeymen and young prospects. That's all he'd have. He wouldn't have any of the good fighters over there. He might have the Conor Benns of the world who don't seem to be too stressed about anything except the money. But overall, I think they've had to change tact in a big way. And I think I saw you say something about Dana White there. Hang on, the bonehead. After the boneheaded Dana business plan of saying Zuffa won't work with the sanctioning bodies, expect him to show flexibility and work with them so Zuffa can get big names on the roster. Well, it's the only way it's going to work, Drew. Unless he changes his ways and changes his whole outlook, then they're going to, as I said, they're going to have 200 journeymen / prospects and no actual legitimate stars and headliners. So, I don't think he also has counted on the pushback from Eddie Hearn and Oscar Dillon and exactly how much clout and experience and everything that those guys have got as well, and they ain't going anywhere. And it looks like Bob Arum's the same, Frank Warren's the same, even though they're getting on in years. It looks like they have a succession plan in place. Oscar and Eddie are pretty much in their primes as far as promoters go. They ain't going anywhere either. For some reason, I'm with you. That's probably why I agree that Dana has been a bit boneheaded, because I just think he expected just to come in everything would change. I know he continues to talk it up every press conference that he has, but at the end of the day, have they really improved in the last, 8 months since they've been going, or 7, 8 months, whatever it's been? Now, he did say to judge them after a year. Well, I can't wait to see where they're at in a year. No doubt the shows are, I suppose, getting better. The matchups are slowly getting better. The names or the headliners are slightly getting better. But I haven't seen anything yet that would make me look at their model and go, wow, that's going to be something big going down the track. Because I've said it 100 times now already. Still doesn't look any different to like a Pro Box show. Where is the difference? There is nothing different. Maybe a couple of the main events have been slightly bigger than some of the Pro Box shows, but the undercards are pretty much the same. I haven't really seen anything. The fights have been good, but they just haven't been stacked with really big names or stars or whatever it might be. So far, I'm still to be convinced. I've got no doubt it'll work in some way. I'm just not sure it's going to be a quick process of just totally reinventing the sport. All right, about the belts. All right, the whole Zuffa one belt model, eventual utopia could be death by 1,000 cuts. Don't expect Shakur or any big names to even look sideways at wanting the Zuffa belt. No, well, I think a lot of them have been very vocal, Drew, that they're not that stressed about the Zuffa belt. And why would you? I mean, let's face it again. The only reason the fighters are going over there is because they want the money. I haven't heard anyone go over there, oh, wow, I want to be part of the Zuffa thing. I want to go over there and fight for the Zuffa belt, and I want to be part of the organisation and this. No, they might say that at the press conferences, but it's just about the money. And look, I don't blame them, by the way. I certainly don't blame Jai Pattaya, because when he was with Eddie Hearn was doing nothing for him. Now, he continues to yap Eddie, but at the end of the day, he did nothing for Jai. And he's a little bit filthy. I think that Jai is now making good money. Hasn't got those marquee matchups yet, but it looks like he's going to get one with Michaelian. But Jai went there. There's no opportunities there. He's obviously been sold the dream by Dana White, and is obviously being paid a lot more than Tasman were able to pay him, and more than Eddie was able to earn for him. So I got no dramas at all for him going. But you reckon he went because he wanted the Zuffa belt? No, absolutely not. Conor Benn, do you really think he looked at the Zuffa belt and went, oh, geez, how good's that? No, he went for the money as well. And Shakur and all the ones that are going over there now, it's all for the money. And they couldn't give two shits about the Zuffa belt, I promise you. I promise you 100%. If you put the Zuffa belt up against the WBC belt, which one do you think they're going to choose? Well, Conor Benn's already made the decision, hasn't he? All right. Shadow Boxer. Great song by the Angels, that, by the way. Where was your question there, mate? Don King. There it is. I wouldn't be surprised if Don King hasn't already been paid some cash to stay out of this upcoming Jai versus Noel fight. Yes. Well, this is the thing, Shadow Boxer. It's been, what's it been? Nearly a week since the fight's been announced. We haven't heard from Don King. We haven't heard from Samson Lukovic. We haven't heard from the WBC. We haven't heard anything. And I thought the next day I'd be waking up and reading the news saying lawsuits here and injunctions there. And that's what I thought would be happening. But no, we've had nothing. And we haven't really even, actually, having said that, progressed past this sort of soft announcement of the fight. We haven't really had have we had a press conference yet? We haven't seen a face-off yet because Jai's over here and Noel's over there. But we haven't really seen anything. And let's not forget, we're only, a month away from the fight. So I would have thought, well, maybe I'm thinking too much, by the way, because Code Sports, the nationwide, and I always whinge about this, but the ones that control all the news and all the biggest newspapers in Australia still haven't done an article about it, as far as I know, certainly not in Melbourne anyway, that we haven't seen Main Event or or Fox Sports, any of these do maybe a teleconference, whatever it is, an e-conference, whatever I think Eddie called it, an e-conference with to announce the fight with Noel Michaelian. So maybe it's probably two things. One, that Main Event and Code Sports, as usual, got their heads up the arse if their last name's not Zoo, or maybe there's some stuff going on in the background where they can't officially announce the fight because things aren't officially stamped yet. But I'm with you. Don King's either gone two ways. One, he's had a phone call from Zuffa and they've said, hey, here's a nice little cash settlement there, Don. And he said, yep, thank you very much. Or he's just rallying the troops in the lawyers' offices and more will proceed. So I'm pretty confident the fight takes place. I just think there's going to have to be a little bit of maneuvering from all involved just to appease the parties, I would think. The WBC will be the interesting one. We've seen them do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. They've sanctioned Alexander Usyk to fight a kickboxer who had one fight in 12 years. They sanctioned that. What will they do in this situation here with Jai versus Noel Mikhailian, who Jai is the number one challenger, by the way. This is the thing. He's the number one challenger, the mandatory. So what happens here? I know they've, for some unknown reason, they've mandated him to fight another champion, which again is just totally unheard of. But let's not forget that Jai is the number one challenger in the division. I'm just going to confirm that so I don't look like an idiot. Yes, the number one challenger. Just picture this. Picture this. I'd like to see Mauricio Sulaiman explain this. Headline: Noel Mikhailian stripped for fighting number one challenger. Get your head around that. That headline. Noel Mikhailian stripped of WBC title because he fought the number one ranked contender. See how ridiculous that sounds. But who knows? The WBC, they can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And as I said, they allowed Usyk to fight Verhoeven. Will they sort of do the same thing with Joel? I would think, this is just my opinion, they would say, as long as the Zuffa belt is not on the line, we will sanction this fight. You have to pay Benavides some step-aside money. That might be maybe a plea sort of bargain, or whatever the hell you call it, a negotiation tool to say, yep, we'll give Benavides a payment so that he steps aside. He can fight for the interim belt, or he hasn't got the interim belt. He's got the WBA and WBO. So they might say, well, there's a nice little payment for you. We'll allow this fight to happen. But again, don't forget, this is the champion versus the number one ranked challenger. So I'm really intrigued to see how the WBC handle this, because has it been done before where you fight a number one challenger and you get stripped because of it, especially if the Zuffa belt's not on the line? And that's the other thing we haven't heard of yet. Has Zuffa come out and said it's going to be for the belt? Jai is the champion. So has the Zuffa belt just been shelved entirely? Is it just not on the radar anymore? Is it just on the back shelf in Dana's office? Because we haven't seen anything of it. No more title fights. It's not mentioned for this fight. It's not on the line for Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia, which would be the perfect fight to have as the Zuffa 147-pound title. The middleweight fight yesterday, McKenna and Odia, whatever his name was. Perfect fight for the Zuffa belt. And it wasn't on the line. Probably no surprise because the IBF have shown what they'll do if he did. But the Zuffa belt for Garcia and Ben would have made all the sense in the world. So a lot of things are going to come out. I've got no idea if I just answered your question there, Shadow Boxer. Went on a bit of a rant there, but let's hope I went some way to responding to your comment. All right, Eminem is in the chat. I can see you there. How are you there, mate? Thanks for joining in. Here's your comments there, Eminem. There it is. Yeah. Just read Keith Thurman wants to return to 147 and wants Liam Paro. Well, Keith Thurman, I think Keith Thurman should just shut up. Look, he went to 154. He was yapping off about doing this and doing that. Was talk about being embarrassed. I thought Keith Thurman was embarrassed by Sebastian Fundora. That performance from Keith Thurman was so one-sided in favour of Sebastian Fundora. It's okay for Keith Thurman to maybe just say, well, yeah, maybe the move to 154 wasn't really what I should have done. I'm going to go back to 147 and campaign there. But as far as wanting a shot at Liam Paro, what has he done to deserve a shot at Liam Paro? Recently, I'm talking about. Is he even ranked with any of the organisations? I don't think he is. Well, he's not ranked by the IBF. So I'm not sure why he wants a shot at Liam Paro. But nah, if I was Liam Paro, I'd say, yeah, well, no drama, Keith. You earn a shot, and I'll be happy to give you your opportunity, but you must earn your way up the rankings. You just can't, because of your past performance, and just come in and say, yeah, I want to fight Liam Paro. I mean, doesn't surprise me, Eminem, but I would hope that Liam Paro says, nah, back to the end of the line. How is he supposed to sell that fight? How is he supposed to sell a fight with Keith Thurman coming off the Fundora loss? It's impossible. No one will buy it. So I know they can talk him up as, and actually, having said that, I know No Limit are the masters at this. They'll bring him down. They've had him here before. They'll talk about the valiant effort against Sebastian Fundora, the failed fight with Tim Tszyu, not undisputed, the unified champion he was at 147, and all these highlights, and just maybe leave out the fact that he was absolutely embarrassed by Sebastian Fundora in his last fight. So they've done weirder things, No Limit, but I think even those guys would look at this and go, no, that's going to be a tough sell, a really tough sell. What do you got there, Big J? Can I get a birthday shout out for my daughter Anastasia, please? She's 9 tomorrow. Her school had a reptile show today and they gave her a croc. She immediately took it down and they had to stop her. They gave her a croc. Okay. Happy birthday to Anastasia. Happy 9th birthday. You can see here I've got your dad's shirt on there. Ironic that it's a crocodile on the shirt. And that's funny. They had to stop her. But no, happy birthday to Anastasia. Hope you have a great day tomorrow. Make your dad get you a nice birthday cake. All right. We'll keep going there. Tony's given her a shout out too, which is good. Thanks, mate. All right. Where are we? I'll just go to the top here, I think, guys, because I think I've done enough of going through my phone to try and find the comments in the right order. Explicit, is that double G's? Have you been to San Diego? You may need to bring out the surfing board and some sunscreen lotion for walking, boxing, remeet, surfing, boxing while you're there. That's a good call there, Explicit. I have been to San Diego once. I was there 20-odd years ago with my wife. We went over there. I think we went to, what did we do in San Diego? I think we had a quick look around on the way. I think we went to Tijuana, actually. We got the bus, the tour bus from LA. Actually, it was Anaheim because we were there, went to Disneyland. And I think we drove to San Diego, stopped for a while, and then went down into Tijuana after that. But not a good look around, mate. No, just a quick look, and I think we're there for an hour or something and kept going. As far as the surfboard goes there, mate, not a great idea for me. I'm not that coordinated with things like that. I'm no good on a skateboard, so I don't think I'd be any good on a surfboard. But maybe walking, boxing, who knows? So what I'm actually going to do, I've had to change a lot of things around for the trip, by the way. So I'm flying out of Australia on the 10th of September. Get there on September the 10th as well, and then fly to Vegas. I'm there for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So obviously the Garcia and Ben fight. On the Sunday, I'm flying up to Missoula, Montana. Can't wait to get up into Yellowstone country or the cowboy country up there. And then for the next, I think it's 4 days, I'm going to drive from Montana down to Las Vegas, stay the night. Then from Las Vegas, I'm going to fly to San Diego, stay 2 nights, I think it is, and then drive up to LAX to fly out that night. So that's going to be the plan. So 2 days in San Diego, which should be good. I'm pretty much straight across the road from the arena, Explicit. So got my ticket, pretty good prices actually. I think it was a couple of $100, and I'm like really pretty close to the ring. So I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, I'll have a bit of a look around there. But yeah, that's going to be my trip to San Diego. Maybe I will do a walking box in there, mate. We'll see. Definitely not on a surfboard though. No. All right, Explicit. I mentioned Jai would be fighting Noel 2 weeks ago, but didn't get to it. Still no statement from the WBC. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly what I said before. No statement yet. I would say, though, there'd be talks behind closed doors. I'm assuming that the WBC would have been straight on the phone to Noel Michaelian's management after the announcement. I'm still staggered, though, that no one saw this coming. You saw it. You said there 2 weeks ago, but more so Team Benavides, the WBC, Don King, of all people as well. How could your promoter not know? Surely it would have had to have been a phone call to Don King saying, Don, mate, this whole process is pissing us off. We're sick of waiting for contracts and agreements and all this sort of stuff. If you don't get us this fight signed in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna move on. Then Don King goes, all right, let's get things moving. So, by the sounds of things, everything just stopped, and Michaelian's been waiting for some sort of notice or agreement or something to come through. Waiting, maybe maybe got hold of Don King a couple of times, and of course the news wasn't forthcoming. So he said, "That's enough. We're going to go and sign the fight, Jai." But wouldn't you have said to Don, "Look, we've waited long enough. We're out. We're going to go sign, make it happen," and got Don King to negotiate with Michaelian's camp and Zuffa? I'm struggling to get my head around that Don King wasn't involved in some way or didn't know that there was negotiations going on. Because as I said, surely at some stage they contacted him and said, "Don, if you don't get this done by this date, we're going to sign the fight, Opataya." The fact he had no idea this was coming is just staggering to me. It really is. So, and the WBC, you would have thought that Suleiman would have been on the phone to whoever he needed to be, saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they would have said, "Well, this is what's going on." And he would have said, "Well, if you realise if you signed to fight this fight that we're going to strip you, or it's okay, or whatever it might have been." Hopefully the statement will shed some light on it. But I'm surprised as well that Samson Lukovic wasn't aware of this beforehand as well. Surely, because in this world, in the boxing industry, there's always somebody that knows somebody who has a little leak here or there, or sometimes they want the news to get out just to maybe progress things a little bit further. That the leak didn't get to Samson Lukovic at some stage, and then maybe he would have leaked it himself. He obviously didn't know, or else I'm sure he would have leaked it. But yeah, it's probably commendable to everyone involved that no one saw this coming, not even his own team. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a statement from the WBC soon. I'm sure at some stage Benavidez and Lukovic will respond. I just cannot get my head around again that we're almost a week into it, or a week after the announcement, or the soft announcement, let's call it, until they officially announce and have a press conference. It's not official, is it? So. I'm staggered that almost a week after the soft announcement that we haven't really had a statement from anybody. And wouldn't you have thought, by the way, with such a great fight to add to the card, that Dana White would have gotten Michaelian and Jai Opataya front and center to announce, "Look what we've done. This is us, Zuffa. Look what we're doing here. Look at the fight we've added to Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia. This is why we're going to take over, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that." It's nothing. It's just a little. I think even the poster was AI, unless other people have done the AI poster. But it's just been a really, really soft announcement. Again, I would have thought that Dana White and Zuffa would have used this as a little bit of ammunition for everybody out there, us fans and everyone else in the industry, to really, I suppose, ram home that they're now becoming serious. Look what we've done. We've got this great main event of Garcia versus Benn, and look at this fight we've added to the undercard or co-main, whatever it's been. We're serious, and we're going to prove it, and here's what we've got. But nothing. Just nothing. So we'll see. We're still, as I said, 4 or 5 weeks to go, so we'll see. Drew, honestly don't think there would be any... Hang on, what have I done there? Have I gone past... I'm assuming this is for the girls' fight. Honestly, don't think there would have been any instructions that could have closed the distance in class from their opponents. This is Desley and Shanika. That said, the instructions were very novice and basic, to say the least. Yeah, I was really intrigued, Drew, that Russ Amber, the cut man, was the one doing the majority of talking in between rounds. And the trainer, I don't know who it was for Shanika, didn't offer anything. Now, I'm not saying it would have made a massive difference, but when you've got the cut man who only gets brought in to do the cuts on fight night, I don't think he would have been part of the training camp at all, that he was doing the talking. And the trainer, from what he did say, I'm not surprised that Shanika sort of sat there with a puzzled look on her face and didn't really have anywhere to go. I mean, just something. But it was pretty much breathe and, do this. And then Russ Amber had put his 2 cents in, and it doesn't surprise me that Shanika had no ability to change the fight plan during the fight, because was there a secondary game plan, a game plan B or C or whatever? Or did the trainer just do one thing and just send her out there and just expect her to get the job done? It was staggering to me. I'm not going to sort of cast aspersions on a trainer. I'm sure he's a good trainer. He coached her in these. I'm assuming he coached her in her last couple of fights where she won, but I couldn't believe in between rounds that there was just nothing being added to Shanika to change tack during the fight. And even the advice from Russ Amber, I mean, I think it was just basic stuff, as you said there. I mean, wouldn't you have maybe like to have seen something like, Neeks, you got to come forward and you got to move your head. You got to give her some angles coming in. And when you're inside, stay inside. Don't back out and give her the punching room that she was able to give her. Get in close and rough her up. Or, Neeks, get in close. You got to go to the body. No body shots. Come on, we need to rip in, and we need to rip into the body. Just something. But we didn't see anything. It was just pretty much encouragement. A few things here or there. You could see Shanika was actually looking for maybe some advice. A little bit different to the Desley Robinson fight, because I thought the trainers, well, there was a few different things they were trying to roll out there, but I just think she was in against a superior opponent. I don't think there's really anything that Desley could have done that would have changed the direction of that fight. But I just think, even though I got a feeling Dina Thorson would have won the fight, the fact that we didn't see the change in game plan at all from Shanika Johnson just left me staggered. It really did. And we always put these trainers up on a pedestal of, well, they're training world champions, so they must be great trainers. They must know this and know that, but maybe they've had a good training camp. But that's only a small part of, well, I know it's a big part, but it's not the only part of a fighter's preparation. You've got to be good into the corner. And I think the true definition of a great trainer, or even a very, very good trainer, is how they conduct themselves during the fight. I suppose the composure, the way they keep the fighter on track, the way they might throw a few little things in there to alter the game plan. They don't panic during the rounds. They don't become fanboys and just barrack. They actually have some constructive input for the fighter. That, to me, is the judge of a very good or great trainer. And I think in training camp, look, anyone can get the fighter fit. They normally have strength and conditioning coaches anyway. Anyone can hold pads. Anyone can maybe give some tips during sparring. But the true test comes during a fight. And I just think Shanika's team really dropped the ball yesterday in not encouraging her to try something different, because she didn't do anything different for the whole fight. She was on the back foot the whole fight. She allowed Thorson to come to her, allowed her to dictate the fight, allowed her to dictate the tempo of the fight, and she just had nothing to alter the path of the fight, which is why every single round was the same as the last. It was just 10 rounds of the same thing over and over and over again. And as they say, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over again every round and expecting a different result. I don't think Thorson could really, I suppose, get her head around or appreciate what Shanika was doing for her by simply allowing her to pretty much dictate the fight from start to finish. No pressure coming back, no inside fighting, no body shots, no nothing coming back. And I just think Thorson couldn't believe her luck that she's just been able to pretty much fight her own fight. So, all right. What do you got there? Explicit. Richard Riapor might sign to Zuffa, and maybe the next fighter announced. Good luck. Was that good for those UK cards? Yeah, well, they've got to fill out their roster, don't they, for Europe as well as the States and maybe Australia as well. Not that there's many sort of down here, I suppose. Most of the fighters worth anything are really already signed with either No Limit or Tasman or Matchroom. But it does make sense, Explicit, that he would sign to Zuffa. Yeah, it does make sense. And not a big signing, not anything like that, but still a good signing to fill out the roster for what they're trying to do over there in the UK. Explicit, what do you got there? Didn't know Noel went to law school in Turkey. Well, there you go. There's two of us. You probably would have known to take the Jai fight besides the money, of course, and most likely know and use the Ali Act to full use. Yeah, well, he seems to be, I didn't know about that, by the way, Explicit, but he does seem to be a pretty switched on type of guy. Looks like he knows the business of boxing as well. So he would have, this is purely a business decision for him. I've got no doubt they would have sat down and discussed the potential of what might happen. And I think they would have a couple of different scenarios. One would be, well, the WBC go, okay, well, no drama, that's fine. You're fighting the number one challenger. That's cool. Just make sure you fight David Benavides next. Yep, all good. Let's get on with it. Just make sure you pay your sanctioning fee, all that sort of stuff. Or it would have been the flip side saying, thinking that, the WBC, if they might strip us. And I've got a feeling he's planned for both those scenarios. And it's probably looked at it and went, you know what? It's a WBC belt. It's great. But if I'm getting twice the money for fighting Jai as I might get for fighting Benavides, then I'm gonna fight Jai, because it has to be for the money. Although has, I suppose, also been because Benavidez' camp has been dragging the chain. So there's probably a few different things in there, but I got no doubt they would have went over all scenarios and went, you know what, Jai Pataya is the best course for us to take. And if it costs us the WBC belt, well, so be it. We're going to still probably get another shot down the line, fight our way back to number one. You know, if we beat Jai, everyone's gonna scream for the fight with Jai Pataya anyway. So I think they've weighed up a lot of different things, and of course the money on top of that, which is why he said, "Nah, we're gonna fight Jai." And wonder if there'd been some threats sort of put out there, and maybe they didn't take the threat seriously. This is about taking the Jai fighter. They didn't sign the Benavidez fight, and he's called their bluff, and bang, he signed the fight Jai. Drew. Notice that after almost a... hang on, I've got that. I've already gone through that one. Sorry. Explicit. Since Aaron McKenna won yesterday, I want to talk about the story of McKenna giving problems to Adamas in sparring. McKenna was about to face Adamas in January, but turned it down for Amo Williams for less money, reportedly. I didn't know that. Explicit. Yeah, look, he's okay. He's okay, Aaron McKenna, and look, really good performance yesterday. Adamas, well, he's looking to go up to 168 now, so he might be out of the equation. I'm just going to have a quick look, by the way. Now, I've said that. The WBC. So if he vacates, so we've got... Now, Tim was ranked at junior middle. I thought... Oh, there you go. He's ranked number 245. Okay. Maybe it hasn't updated yet. I thought he was ranked quite high with the WBC. Okay. Well, if he does leave, it'll be Jesus Ramos. Might be probably elevated, I would think, to full champion if he gets over... Who's he fighting again? Miriam Nursultanov. Now, he's the number one ranked WBC challenger, by the way. So that's a good fight. That's on the San Diego card I'm going to be at for the Pitbull Cruz fight. So, no, I didn't know about that, mate, but it definitely opens the door for Tim Tszyu, doesn't it? But, yeah, Adama's looking to go to 168. What's this explicit? Music-related boxing news. Reports saying Kendrick Lamar might make a boxing-themed album. Pennell's Undisputed Fight, August 11th, is sounding important. He made the greatest hip-hop album to pimp a butterfly. I have no idea what you're talking about there, explicit. That's not the sort of music I listen to. I wouldn't have a clue about hip-hop or rap or even pop music, any of that sort of stuff, mate. I'm from the 90s. I love rock and grunge. That's me. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know who Kendrick Lamar is, mate. Is he a musician? I hope he's not a boxer because you'd expect me to know that, but I don't know who he is, mate. I know he's a musician who might make a boxing-themed album. Yeah, I can't comment on that one, mate, because I have no idea what you're talking about. Hypothetically, if Zuffa was like the UFC and Dana succeeded, which one would be bigger numbers-wise? Which one would be bigger? Number-wise, viewers or ticket sales? Could boxing spike in popularity? Yes, I think it could maybe be taken to another demographic there, mate. I think the UFC fans might maybe warm to boxing a little bit more because Dana has done very, very well, exceptionally well as far as the brand of UFC, and the fact that he's now going into the boxing sort of scene. You would think that a lot of UFC fans would definitely jump on board, I would think. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, that could be a really good thing. It's a good point you made there. That could be a really good part of this. The whole Zuffa thing is that not only does it maybe bring the current players in the line, but it also brings a whole new demographic to the sport as far as attendances, and probably more so, rather than attendance, more so pay-per-view eyeballs and all the rest of it. But, yeah, it's not a bad comment there, mate. We've got a super chat, $20 from Andy. Thank you very much, mate. Salute Lyndon, Tara, and chat. Even if the WBC strips Mikhailian, it makes Benavidez versus whoever for a vacant belt look bad in the eyes of many. Fight Jai already. Yes, subscribe, share, and smash that like button, please, folks. Thanks very much, Andy. Well, it does. I think it makes Benavidez look, like you said there, makes him look bad and a little silly, really. Now, he's going to fight, if it is the interim champ, what do I say it was? Michael Cislak. I don't think I've ever seen him fight Michael Cislak, if that's his name. So, yeah, it doesn't really have a ring to it, does it, Andy? David Benavides versus Michael Sislak. I would be surprised if, well, I was going to say if they do strip Michaelian, that Benavides might go, you know what, I'll take the fight and I want that WBC strap, or he might say, no, I'm going to fight somebody else and I'll come back to the WBC when it's been sorted out by somebody else. I don't know. I've got a feeling he'll fight Sislak, but he seems to be the type of guy where he has said that he only wants the big fight. Now, isn't it so ironic that he said that, and now the two biggest fights for him in that division, they're fighting each other, and they've said, well, screw you. So, yeah, it's I would think he would be, at the moment, wiping all that egg off his face, David Benavides, and wondering how he's going to save face. Because all he had, like, he could afford either of these guys. McCallan had been ordered to fight him, and he's dicked around with him, and he could have fought Jai any time, and Jai would have accepted it. So I think, I've got a feeling that David Benavides has maybe learnt a lesson in being humble in this and respectful in this instance, because he would have thought, well, I'm David Benavides. I dictate what happens. I dictate who fights me and when and everything else, and I'll just get to it when I'm ready. And McCarlin said, well, I'll call you bluff. I'm going to fight Jai Pataya. And now the two, well, arguably two of the top three fighters of the division are now fighting each other. And it's Benavides sitting out in the cold saying, well, what about me? I'm going to have to fight this Michael Sislak for a paper championship. So, yeah, I hope it's a bit of a learning curve for him, Andy. All right. Hang on. We've got another one from Explicit. Another fight being added to the Ben Ryan card is Andre Cortez versus Magseo. Ooh, okay. I don't know much about those guys, mate. Zuffa were wanting the winner against Valenzuela, but not sure because Shakur Haney failed. Yeah, well, I think Valenzuela was in mind for Shakur, wasn't he? For Shakur Stevens, which does make sense. But at the end of the day, I think the card, I don't know much about either of those two guys. Sorry, neither one ring a bell to me, Explicit. But I would think the two main fights in that card are great fights. And I think if they just fill the rest of the card with 50-50 fights like they've been doing for their other Zuffa shows, I think that'd be enough. Because at the end of the day, I don't care who's on the rest of the card. I'm there to see, obviously, Jai, and then I'm there to see the main event. So that's all I care about. And yeah, as long as the other fights are 50-50, I suppose that's all that matters. But good chance for them to really show what they've got. It's a big card. T-Mobile Arena first. Well, it is a Ring Magazine Golden Boy show as well, isn't it? But first sort of real Zuffa big fight show they've done. So hopefully they'll add a few more fights there as well, mate. Any chance Fury AJ could be cancelled? Eddie mentioned during the negotiations, if Madison Square Garden was a planned location, AJ wouldn't have signed the contract if not in the UK. Have they even renegotiated yet? It's a good comment there, Explicit. And if you didn't see it, Eddie did say that they signed a contract, but their contract said the fight had to be in the UK. Now, apparently Tyson Fury's contract didn't say that. It just said, well, obviously the monetary value and everything else, but it didn't have a venue attached to it or a location, whereas apparently Anthony Joshua's did. They said it's got to be in the UK. So Eddie did say, okay, well, two things have got to happen. One is that it has to be in the UK, or two, we have to renegotiate the contract or rewrite the contract, because at the moment it says it's in the UK or there's no deal. So that's where Eddie and AJ are at. Now, Eddie did say, which is a good thing, which probably goes against what you're saying there a little bit there, Explicit, in that they are open to fighting outside the UK. It's just that the contract needs to be redone. Now, does that mean renegotiated, or simply a little bit of whiteout that changes it from must be in the UK to can be anywhere? That might be it. It might be as simple as that. Although, does Eddie now and AJ sort of use that as a little bit more leverage to say, well, okay, well, if you want it outside the UK and want us to recommit to a different contract, then you got to pony up and give us a bit more money? I would doubt it. AJ needs this as much as Fury. Now, not the money is obviously a massive thing, but this thing's been going on for a long time. I don't think either guy could retire with a clear head and be satisfied if they didn't fight each other. So there's the two factors in there. One is they know they have to fight each other. It just has to happen. And secondly, there's so much money at stake. Look, it could be a bit of posturing by Eddie as well for a little bit of upper hand, I suppose, but I think they'll get it done. I don't think it'll be cancelled. There's too much at stake, Explicit. And it's not just this one fight you got to remember. They're looking at potentially 3 fights. They want this one in New York. They want the rematch next summer, the UK summer, which will be June, July, whatever it might be. And then if all goes well, they want a 3rd fight, probably at, it could be Saudi Arabia, who knows, but they want the trilogy. So it all depends on how the first one goes, which is why I think they've said, well, if it is only 1 fight, we have to get this right. We have to maximize the return on investment. It's in the US because that suits everyone as far as time-wise goes when the fight's on. Even for us here in well, I suppose you call it Asia down here, down under. So it suits us because it's on during the day. It'll be on sort of early morning, so 1, 2 o'clock in the UK, which is okay. And it'll be on prime time in America, which suits everybody. So, and then hopefully, as I said, it'll be in the UK in summer next year, so June and July next year. And then potentially the end of 2027, they'll do a 3rd fight, probably maybe in Saudi Arabia. So everyone gets a slice of the pie. You get Dana gets his slice, you get Eddie and that get the UK slice, and then you've got the Saudis get the Saudi slice. So yeah, lots of parts or moving parts in motion there, explicit. But yeah, I couldn't see it being cancelled. There's too much at stake. Don't know if this is true, but supposedly Zuffa fighters get $4,000 if they wear a Zuffa robe. Wouldn't have a clue there, mate. For $4,000, I wouldn't bother. I'd want my own robe for $4,000. A lot of fighters don't even wear robes these days, do they? But yeah, I don't know if that's true, mate. But I'm surprised that it's just not written in the contracts that they've got to wear the Zuffa robe and stick your $4,000. I don't know, but yeah, I didn't know about that, mate. Where are we? I think I'm back on track here. All right, Tony, I think this is your comment from before, mate. Hello, crew. What a shame our 2 girls went out in straight sets. At what point would you think Neeks' corner would advise you to try something different, not the gaslighting from Russ Amber, the cut man? Yeah, well, I covered that before, but yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm with you there. What do we got here? I'm just getting a message here. Where are you? Have we got someone from San Diego there? Have we? Hang on. Let's have a quick look. I'll see if I can find your comment there. There's a few there. Oh, there you go. Talk of SD. Okay. Salute from San Diego, California. Well, there you go. Talk OFSD. As you would have heard me say before, I'll be in your neck of the woods in late. No, what is it? I'll be there from the 17th or 18th, I think it is. Maybe 18th of September through to the 20th of September. So good stuff there, mate. And thanks very much for tuning in all the way from the USA. So shout out to you there, mate. I'll try and get back to where we've been. Sorry about that, guys. It always happens when I jump ahead. I've got to go back to the chat. All right. All right, Big J, this is about Paro. Is it true that Paro, Eminem, is that true? Paro should definitely take that fight. Easy defense, big payday. Yeah, I don't know there, Big J. I just don't think Keith Thurman's done anything to deserve a shot. So, no, I think he needs to earn it like everyone else. All right, still with Big J. I think I've got to the end of here. Oh, hang on. No, I'll go to this comment and I'll come back to Tommy. Sorry about that, Tommy. Well, Shanika and Desley certainly effed around. Is that what you're saying there? Yeah, F around and found out, didn't they? Maybe if they focused on boxing rather than promoting the smut, they would have worked those fights, or at least, or would have won those fights, or at least a round. Yeah, look, it's disappointing they didn't win a round between them, Big J. I'll agree with that. But as I said earlier in the show, look, yeah, I'm not certainly going to rubbish anyone that puts in the work that these fighters, whether it be male or female, the amount of work they put in. I'm not going to disrespect any of those guys or girls because I know how hard they work and what the sacrifices they make. So again, I don't like what they do, or not that I don't like it. I don't necessarily agree with what they do, but on the flip side, again, I understand you've got to make as much dollars or as much money as you can while you still are able. And I know, again, it's not for everybody, but then again, you don't have to subscribe. I don't subscribe to any of them, never will. So it doesn't really bother me at all. The one thing I probably will say, Big J, and I think you've commented about this in the past, the one thing I probably would draw the line at is when you go to the weigh-ins and some of the outfits, and I think it was at Shanika a couple of years ago, whatever it was, had the paint on. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And I saw a few of the fighters on the weekend. They had the high heels on and all this sort of stuff. And I think Neeks had the cowboy hat and all that stuff on. Yeah, I don't like the weigh-in sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. But what they do in their own private time to earn money, I have no dramas with whatsoever. But I would think that, maybe keep your pride about you at the weigh-in. Don't wear anything too skimpy. Don't worry about the high heels. I think, yeah, and I understand. I think Ebony Bridges was the one that probably started all this, by the way. But I get why they do it. They obviously think that. Well, actually? That's a good question. I'll ask it. What do they think of us male boxing fans out there, and probably some female fans as well? Do I think they need to do that to get us to want to watch them fight? Obviously, it's not about that. It's subscribing to their OnlyFans. But do you think they think that little of us, that they think that's all we worry about, us men and some women? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, as I said, Big J, what they do in their own private time's up to them, but maybe leave out the smutty parts of the weigh-in out of it, because I can't watch when they do that. I'll agree. All right, Tommy B, evening all. Tony Harrison really livened up fight week today at the press conference. Great having him out there for another fight build-up. Yeah, I only saw bits and pieces of it, Tommy. I was at work today and I was just sort of watching a bit of it and doing a few different bits and pieces. But yeah, it's great to have him out here again, Tony Harrison. He really did his part for the Tim Tszyu fight, and looks like he's trying his best in the lead up to Wednesday night's fight. So yeah, great to have him back out here again, mate. I think I've got to the end of these comments. All right. Drew, I understand. Oh, it's just the Big J. I understand your disdain for Harrison versus Zarafa, but it's not like Zarafa is flooded with options after the Nikita debacle. He has to kind of take anything he can get right now. Yeah, well, I saw Eddie Hearn today, Drew, talking it up about Zarafa with this next opponent. I mean, oh my God. Saying, I was surprised that, that they gave us this opponent. I thought they'd take an easy fight, and really surprised that they've gone for this guy, and 25 knockouts in 26 wins and all this sort of stuff. I'm going to see if I can bring up this guy's record. We'll have a quick look. Oh, hang on, Big J, what's that? Show us the back. Yep, okay. Hang on. Where are we there? Can you see it there? What's that say there? Hang on, that way. I think you can see it there. What does it say? I haven't even looked. Sorry, you probably didn't hear what I said. I don't even know what it says there, Big J. Something about a croc. Was that Wrestler Croc and something? I don't know. But there you go. I hope you saw that, because obviously I can't see the back of me. All right. Michael Zarafa. Where are we? Of course, nothing comes up. I'm going to have to type this in manually. Hang on. I want to go through this guy's record, because they're going to build this guy up to be this killer. You can just see it. All right. All right. So he's fighting. This is not a Michael Zarafa beatdown, but I'd do this to anybody, to be honest, because I just don't like the way they've talked this guy up. Alexandro Ortiz. So he's 26-1, 25 knockouts. So his last opponent was 10 wins. Oh, that's the one he got beat in. All right. His last fight was a win. And the record of his opponent was 10 wins, 35 losses, and 4 draws. There you go. The one before that was the one he got knocked out cold in. I saw that fight. Bakari Samaki, or whatever you pronounce it. He was 18-0, so probably not a lot of shame in getting knocked out by him. The one before that, his opponent was 7 wins, 29 losses, 2 draws. The one before that was 17 wins, 30 losses, 1 draw. The one before that was 3 wins and 10 losses. So you sort of see where I'm going with this. So 10-35, 7-29, 17-30, 3-10. They're the last 3 opponents that he's fought, and surprise, surprise, he's knocked them all out. So look, I don't mind. Look, the thing is, I don't mind if Michael Zarafa, fights this type of guy. That's fine. If that's what you want to do, it's a bit of a comeback fight, as I suppose, if you want to call it that, after the Nikita fight. It's a big stage here in Australia. He wants to get a good win under his belt with his new promoter. I get all that, but as a great old AFL football coach said, Don't piss down the back of my leg and tell me it's raining. All right, because this is rubbish. This fight. Okay, so if they had just said, "Oh, look, it's," I know they can't say that, by the way, because it's got to be promoted up as, you know, they want people to watch it, of course, so they need to build it up. But it was sort of insinuated, well, you know, it's a comeback fight. You know, I just want to get back on the winners list, and really, you know, looking to use this guy as a stepping stone to big fights, and that's okay. But don't, like Eddie Hearn today. Oh, this guy's so dangerous. 25 knockouts and 26 wins, and oh, I didn't want a guy this hard. I wanted someone. Eddie, I love you, mate, but shut up. It's just ridiculous. So, and he's trying to build up the Andre Savage as well, and I would think, looking at this card, Michael Zarafa will KO this Ortiz in 2, maybe 3 rounds. Terramona will probably get Savage out of there in 1 round. Worst case, 2 rounds. So I think the real entertainment might be the Jack Bowen and Jazzy Parr fights, really. I mean, but anyway, it's free. It's free, so let's not get too excited. But I'm finding it really hard to get excited about the 2 main fights because, I just think we've just been really, well, hoodwinked, as they say. All right. Big J, retirement is the better option for Mick, honestly, Drew. No, look, this is the thing, and I'll say again, I'm not trying to be on here and rubbishing Michael Zarafa. Now, Michael and a few of his followers have accused me of that. I'm just telling it the way it is. I hoped for this fight that Mick, you called him there, I'll call him Michael. I hope that they would. I was all for the signing with Matchroom. Great stuff. You know, I've said before, he's got 9 lives. He's got an offer from Eddie Hearn, and that's great. Go with it. But I'm really disappointed that they brought out this type of opponent for him. There were so many opponents out there in the world they could have got him the fight that would benefit his ranking, benefit his development. Not that he probably needs a lot of development at his age, but also be a real respect earner from the Australian public, because they know that the first thing we all do is go to BoxRec and YouTube. That's what we all do. So I would have really liked to have gone to BoxRec and seen the record and gone, oh, okay, and with a fighter with a good record that you went, okay, solid opponents. Yep, no drama. Okay, Michael should win, but a really solid opponent. That's what I wanted. I would have rather someone that was 18-5-1 with 11 knockouts. I'm just picking somebody, but it had a lot of really good, solid fights with some good guys. Won some, lost some, went the distance with most of them. That's the sort of fighter I was looking for Michael Zarafa. And I'm just, while I sound like I'm probably being a bit spiteful towards Michael himself, I probably am to some extent, because he's gone out of his way to choose this guy who will be an absolute flop. I guarantee it. So I just wanted more from Michael Zarafa. I mean, I'm certainly not going to say I'm his biggest fan or anything, but I just think this was an opportunity for him to really get some respect with the boxing world out there. Because as I said, the first thing we do is we go straight to the internet. And everyone I spoke to say, have you seen this guy Zarafa's fighting? Well, yes, unfortunately I have. I just really wanted him or I wanted to go to those sites and go, yep, solid guy. But when I saw him on YouTube, I went, oh my God, they are actually going to bring this guy out to Australia and get sacrificed on national TV. Anyway, we'll see on Wednesday night. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I really doubt it. I don't think he should retire either, Big J. I mean, he's still got plenty left in him. But I suppose I just want him to see him in there with some better guys. But anyway. All right. Tony, I'll give you the drum. DeAndre Savage will get belted so hard and fast, you will think he's surrounded. I just watched his highlight package, and it's incredibly underwhelming D-grade opponents. Mate, I'm with you, and that's why I said first round. Even watch him today with the open workouts. Look at the way he moves. Look at his footwork. Look at the way he reacts, the way he's body. Mate, he's just going to be just a sitting target. I wouldn't be surprised if Terramona goes out there and just lines you out and just goes bang with the first right hand and just knocks him out cold. He's got no movement. Hasn't got a lot of grace when he does move. No real head movement. Sloppy. It is what it is, as they say. DeAndre Savage is getting knocked out badly on Wednesday night. And even our man, and again, I'm a massive fan of Eddie Hearn. I love the way he goes about it. But I even he can't save this show. Even he can't talk any of us into thinking this is actually going to be two competitive fights, because it's not. They are two absolute mismatches, and they should not be on Fox Sports. And with all the resources and connections and backing and contacts and everything that Eddie Hearn has, and experience, and the way he normally carries himself for these UK shows, always good shows, I just cannot believe he would come to Australia and offer up this shit that looks like happening on Wednesday. Now, who knows? Maybe the two main events might be Fight of the Year contenders. I don't know, but I just strongly doubt it. And Tony, you're obviously backing my assessment. I just think it's got first 30 seconds written all over it. DeAndre Savage and this Alexandra Ortiz, maybe a round or two, and that's the best I can see. So Drew, what's that? Drew, your observation was spot on. Oh, this is about Shanika's corner. It might sound old-fashioned, but I always think the only voice the fighter should hear in the corner is from the trainer. Again, Drew, I cannot believe the cut man was doing the majority of the talking. Just bewildering that was the case. Pound for pound, do you think Tam Tabout, is that her name? Taboo? What have I been calling her? Theobald, whatever. We'll call her Tam, the Canadian. Could be the one that gives Clarissa her first loss. Tall, powerful southpaw with great amateur pedigree. She looks the goods. I 100% think she could beat Clarissa Shields, mate. 100%. By what I saw yesterday. Now, I know Clarissa Shields will be a whole different ball game than Desley Robinson. I mean, she'll be a lot bigger than Desley, even though they're fighting at 160. I just think the way that she carried herself yesterday, she's a very, very good fighter. And I just knew in the first 10 seconds that Desley was in a bit of trouble, unfortunately. Just the way that she's a real tall, lanky southpaw. She's taken a leaf out of the Fundora's playbook of having so many physical advantages over their opponent, and then adding another one by taking center ring and pushing the smaller fighter back. Most tall fighters you see will back off and try and outbox the smaller opponents. They're different. They actually come at you and they take center ring, and it's so hard to fight a taller opponent from the outer ring. And if you've been a fighter out there, you'll know where I'm coming from. When you're against the taller fighter, you want to take center ring and you want to dictate terms and you want to get in close. Very, very hard when you're the smaller fighter on the outer ring trying to technically box the taller opponent who's coming forward at you, especially when they lean backwards, like Sky Nicholson does it really well. When they lean back and then they snap back with the counters and everything. Yeah, really tough. So, yes, to answer your question there, mate, I think she would 100% be in line to give Clarissa Shields her first loss. Never know. Kay Scott might be doing it this weekend. I highly doubt it. But Tam Theobald could be definitely one of those fighters that could do it for sure. Batman, how are you there, mate? Welcome to the show. All right, Big J. This is probably an old one. I've probably way behind, am I? Not winning a single round for each champion was a little bit on the nose. The outfits at the weigh-ins were definitely embarrassing for Shanika and Desley. As I said, mate, I'm not a fan of what that happens at the weigh-ins, but what happens in their own private lives is up to them. What is this regarding OnlyFans? I have an account if anyone is interested. There you go. There's some explicit pics of myself on the bonnet of my Sigma wagon. The chicks love it. Well, this is the thing. Do guys have OnlyFans? I got no idea. I did see something a while back where it's probably a great idea, actually, with the AI thing. There was a guy that had an OnlyFans account. Can I say that on here? Will that get me blacklisted or demonetized? I'm not sure how it all works. Not that I care. I make nothing out of the videos anyway. But he had an AI woman on there, and he was putting up photos and everything of an AI model, if you want to call them that, and was making a fortune. So maybe it's not as bad as idea as everyone thinks it is. All right, Big Joe, what do you got here? I think you got a couple of comments here. The record shows Shanika can only beat women 10 years plus older than her. Susie Ramadan, Nina Hughes, Metcalf, all in their 40s. Shanika goes up against someone her age, gets beaten easily. Again, you're being harsh, Big Joe. I will agree that the fights with those other fighters you said there, yep, okay. They were no Dina Thorson, let's just put it that way, in their 40s. But I don't think age had a massive thing to do with it yesterday. I think it was just the fact that Dina Thorson is a very, very good fighter. And unfortunately, Shanika Johnson just wasn't on her level. That's all it was. Yeah, and you might be right about the age with the other three, but yeah, I don't think it would have mattered whether Dina Thorsen was 20 or 50. I just think the way she fought and her style and her pedigree, her experience, everything like that was just too much for Shanika, and she won every round, like you said before. Motorsport, what do you got there? Hey, boxing deep dive fam, looking forward to the Fox Sports Wednesday night fights. Finally, non-pay-per-view boxing. Well, that's probably one thing we've overlooked in the whole thing, Motorsport, is that it's free on Wednesday. So if you are tuning in, I don't want to continue to pour cold water on the quality of the two main fights on the card, but it is free. And now we don't have the no limit on Fox anymore. That seems to have gone by the wayside, which is probably where these fights are probably taking the place. I got no dramas at that. So yeah, we probably look at the negatives a bit too much. It is free, but geez, I just think they could have a lot more competitive fights than what they've put on. Even if they've got limited money to spend, I can tell you there's a lot of solid guys out there. And let's look, maybe this guy that I'm just using the example, this guy they're bringing in for Michael Zarafa. Now, I know, having been a former promoter myself, probably what he's getting paid, I would think it'd be no more than $5,000 to $10,000 US. That's just what I'm thinking. Airfares, visas, accommodation, all that sort of stuff. His team coming out. Look, this could be a $20,000 exercise for them, for Matchroom. That $20,000, why couldn't they give that to a Benjamin Hussein and say, there you go, there's 20 grand. Now, he might say, well, I want 25 or 30. It'd be worth it. Pay the money for a really good matchup. I'm sure they would take the fight. There might be a bit of negotiation, but you get a really solid all Aussie fight on this card. And even if and I don't blame Tera Moana, by the way, because by the sounds of things, he's having no luck getting Aussies wanting to fight him. And I don't blame him, by the way. But at least he bowls Savage over in a round or two, he would have a really good, solid fight at middleweight. And I got no doubt there's some good middleweights out there, even 154 pounds, that would step up if they had an opportunity to fight Michael Zarafa. So instead of getting a really solid fight from someone like a Benjamin Hussein or even a Cole Mazudia or one of these types of guys that would give him a really good, solid, competitive fight and have us Aussie fans out here, instead of me rubbishing the card, I'd be saying, hey, well done, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, for putting on these type of fights. Instead, they've got guys like me, and I see Big J in that before, and I'm sure there's others out there, well, the ones that are game enough to say it online anyway, for fear of not getting an interview down the track, whatever. But instead of us praising the event, you got us, all of us out here saying what a crap card this is going to be, or crap couple of main events that we've got. So they could have done it differently. As I said, Benjamin started picking him, but Cole Mazudia, a few others out there, we've got no doubt, would have said, maybe a Dylan Biggs would have said, yep, I'm up for it. But instead we get this slop that we're going to be fed on Wednesday night. And, yeah, it's I just don't think it's going to be pretty. But anyway, Tommy B, where have you got there, mate? I actually like the Zarafa Harrison matchup. Same career stages as the Zoo Spence matchup. Makes sense from Matchroom's point of view too. Harrison sells well with his mouth. Another one, Tommy. Exactly. Yeah, well, he's here, isn't he? He's here. So I know he's got Savage as his protege, but would have been great, Tommy. Would have been absolutely fantastic if they had got it done. Now, it wouldn't have been DeAndre Savage here, you would think, fighting Tera Moana, because he couldn't be a fighter and a trainer, you wouldn't have thought. But you're right, it would be a great matchup, Zarafa and Harrison. I got a feeling that Harrison would have wanted, a bit of coin to fight Zarafa, and no doubt that Matchroom didn't have the budget, but still, they could have got a hell of a lot more bang for buck than what they're going to get on Wednesday night, I can assure you of that. So, Hearns, props to Big J. He said 2 weeks ago, yeah, all 3 Aussie girl champions would lose in August. Yep. Well, the third one hasn't been beaten yet, Hearns, but yeah, I get what you're saying. But look, credit, yes, will say credit to Big J, but I think if you had got everyone's predictions about these 3 fights, I'm pretty sure most Aussie boxing fans would have said it would have been 0-3 to the girls. I certainly would have. But again, let's hold out a little bit of hope for Kate Scott there, Hearns. All right. I've never called anyone shit, weight bullies, vultures, embarrassing, and blown up, washed up welterweights. Sure, by never shit. I'm offended, good sir. Pistols of Dawn. Are you talking to me? I'm not sure. Okay, Pistols of Dawn. Yep, I'm cool. You're back in Vic. Okay, all good. Okay, are you talking to me, or did I say anything about calling anyone. Oh, okay. Yeah, wait, boys. Yeah, okay. That was my little comment earlier, was it? Yeah. Just joking there, Big J. Sean, Samson Lukovic is a dead ringer for a weasel. Yeah, or is dead ringer for a weasel? Yeah, he does, Sean. Yep. The way he conducts himself sometimes a little bit that way as well. There's only 2 real belts, says Big Bang, the WBC and the WBA. Well, yeah. The IBF's been around, since 1985, WBO since 1988. Yeah, I think we'll give them their props, Big Bang, I'm going to call you Big J then. With McKenna winning a 160-pound title, also Bentley having a title, surely that would be on Tim's radar. Tough but winnable fights. Yep, 100% pound for pound. And looking at the rankings at 160. So I'm not sure whether these have been updated. I'm assuming they have. Maybe not. But Tim is a WBO number 1, so at 154. So I would say he'll be elevated to the number 1 with the WBO at 160. So definitely in line for Bentley. And McKenna, I was going to say might not want to go that route because of the rehydration clause, but being 160 might be a little bit different. You might want to go for that. And that is obviously not vacant anymore, is it, with McKenna? So, yeah, either of those fights, very, very winnable, mate. But I think I've just got a gut feel that he's going to go for the WBO belt. The fact he's going to be ranked number 1, Bentley just getting the title, I think that's the way they'll go. And a very, very winnable fight for him, mate. That's for sure. Yep, you agree, Big J. Did anyone see the horrendous face on Victor Ortiz after his bare knuckle dragger boxing debut? Awful affair. I didn't, mate. No, I just can't watch that. I love people locking horns and punching on, but that bare knuckle stuff, I just cannot watch, mate. Let's face it, it's glorified street fighting, isn't it? I just can't watch it, and especially the women. Oh, seeing some of their faces after they fight, not for me. Not for me, mate. I respect them, don't get me wrong. Like the UFC, I respect the fighters. I just can't watch. UFC doesn't really excite me. I just think it's sometimes a little bit boring. Sorry, UFC fans. And Victor Ortiz, the bare knuckle stuff. Yeah, I just think it's just not as bad as the slapping bullshit, but yeah, bare knuckle fighting, not for me. Matthew, what do you got there, mate? Any word on Mike Altamura and the split with Tim? He really hasn't been mentioned by anyone. He deserves credit for Tim's rebuild. Well, it certainly deserves credit for putting together the Errol Spence fight, Matthew, because I know for a fact he played a massive part in that and pretty much had that fight signed, sealed, and delivered just before he got the spear. So I did speak to Mike a couple of weeks ago, and he's doing okay. Yeah, he's doing okay. Obviously, still pretty devastated by what happened. There's some issues or some things that still need to be sorted out with Tim. Can't comment too much on that, obviously. That'll sort of work itself out. But this is the thing with the whole Tim thing, and I'm not just saying this because I'm friends with Mike. Okay, the Glenn Jennings and Igor, his trainer situation, I didn't really agree with that at the time, but I fully understand and respect Tim's decision to go a separate way. At that crossroads in his career, he decided that he needed to go a different direction, and I get that. You only get one crack at your career. So while I didn't necessarily agree with it, I could understand it, as I said, respect it. But in this situation here with Mike Altamura, I understand with the Pedro Diaz thing, it didn't work. The language barrier was a bit of an issue. And I get that for maybe going to Jeff, but I cannot get my head around Mike Altamura. One of the best people in boxing, knows boxing inside and out. Has been doing it for so many years. Very, very respected in the industry, gets the job done. And a guy that really bleeds for their fighters, really commits to their fighters. And that's the one sort of mind-boggling thing for me was him splitting with Mike Altamura, who only was there for a few months. And, from what I heard, didn't really put a foot wrong. There's probably some other maybe influences that maybe forced Tim's hand with that. But that's the one thing that doesn't make much sense to me. But anyway, more to come out on that, I would think, going forward, Matthew, with Mike and Tim. I'm sure there'll be some sort of arrangement or settlement or whatever, I would think, but we will see. But he does deserve credit for putting together the Errol Spence fight. I know that. All right. Big J, I reckon the WBC would be mad stripping Noel for fighting Jai. The sanction fees alone would be even incentive to let Jai Noel slide with the winner to fight Benavides. Yeah, I would say so. Big J, I do agree with that. But then again, I suppose whether it's Jai versus Noel or Benavides versus his other guy, I suppose the sanctioning fee is going to be quite similar. So who knows? Is it percentage of purses? I think it is. I'm not sure. I think it might be capped at a certain amount. It might be 300 where it's capped. I'm not sure, but I'm sure the WBC will make another mind-boggling decision that will have us all scratching our heads. That's for sure. All right, Matt, what happens to the Zuffa belt if a non-Zuffa fighter wins a fight? Good question. Well, we've only ever had the one title fight, Matt, so we don't really know. Yeah, you're right. So if a Zuffa fighter that has the belt fights a fighter that is not Zuffa signed, what happens? Good question. I wish I knew, Matt. I wish Dana White had actually come out and clarify the actual position of Zuffa about where they stand in the scheme of things. Not once as Dana White, well, initially, as I said earlier, he said, well, no other promoters, no sanctioning bodies. He's obviously changed his tune on that. But I would like him to come out and have a reporter with the balls enough to ask him to clarify where Zuffa stands right now and answer that exact question you asked there. Also to ask what happens if a Zuffa fighter or a fighter wants to come over and he's got an existing belt. Do you expect him to give up the belt to take the Zuffa belt on as well, or how does it work? We've had no updates from Dana White as far as where the policies and procedures are. We're all out here just guessing, and you're obviously one of them there, Matt, because I'm with you. I have no idea. Pound for pound, I feel the Zuffa belt will go simultaneous with the ring belt. Yeah, not a bad call there. Hence why Jai has it. He's the only ring champ at Zuffa so far. The ring champ is mostly known as a real champ. Good way to swap them out. Is Shakur Stevenson the ring champion, mate? I'm not sure. I reckon he might be or not. Either way, I'm with you as far as the ring belt probably running simultaneously with the Zuffa belt. Yep, I probably tend to agree with that because obviously Turki Al-Sheikh's got his fingers in both of those pies, so it does make sense that, yeah, if that they'll probably try and give the Zuffa belt some more credibility by running it in conjunction or parallel with the ring belt. Yeah, it's a good call there, mate. Turbo, Zarafa won't last 2 rounds. Okay, Turbo. I think you got the wrong guy there, but anyway, good on you. Thanks, Talk of S. So now I get it. I've said Talk OFSD, Talk of San Diego. I'm gathering that means there, mate. New listener, new sub. Thanks very much, mate. I appreciate it. All right, Kiwi Brew. What's that? Dana would have done that. Moving pieces. Adam, trying to predict the future. How's this one? Tim will have a world title fight next, and that will bring Crawford out of retirement to fight Tim. After the Spence versus Tim fight, Crawford had redemption in his eyes. Well, who knows? He's an honorary Australian now these days, isn't he, Terence Crawford? Well, I definitely agree that Tim's next fight could be for a world title, 100%. Will it be enough to bring Crawford out of retirement? Mate, if Crawford won't come back for Canelo, he's not coming back for Tim Tszyu. Mate, he's probably going to get 50 to 100 million for fighting Canelo. He's probably going to get 10 if he's lucky to fight Tim. So, no, I don't think so. If you can't come back for Canelo, he's not coming back for Tim, mate. Although it's not a bad call, but I don't think it's going to happen. Bud will come out of retirement only for belts. Woody, he's been undisputed in 3 different divisions, I think, 2 or 3 different divisions. I think he's got enough belts, mate. I don't think it really matters to him about belts anymore. If it did, he'd wait for Canelo to win the WBC belt and come back and fight him. I don't think so. Or he wouldn't have given up his belts in the first place if it was about belts. But yeah, we'll see. Honestly, I'm assuming that's meant to be Neeks. You've said Cheeks. Was outgunned. She had 2 options: go for broken die on the shield or survive to the end. Well, there was a second one, mate. She survived to the end. Surprised in some ways that the sanctioning bodies decided to strip Jai due to the Zuffa belt. The fact Zuffa are working with them is a bigger statement. Well, again, Drew, I just think when it all went down at the start, I think there was a lot of agendas and a lot of bit of spite in everything that was going on. I think it's settled down a little bit now because Dana White has shown a willingness to actually work with everyone in the industry. But I definitely think it's a Trojan horse type of thing, Drew, because I think once he has the opportunity to ditch other promoters and ditch the sanctioning bodies, he's going to do it in 1 second flat. But I think at the moment there's been a decision made that, yeah, okay, we'll play ball for now. Yeah, we'll play nice. We'll play with everyone else. But in the boardroom at Zuffa headquarters, you've been guaranteed that Dana White is making plans for down the track when he can ditch all of them. No questioning that at all. I wouldn't have thought. Sweet as Fox Sports has an article on Terra Moana today. How Aussie champ Stephen Ivic is scared to fight him. Just for your information, Ivic recently had knee surgery after his last fight and is out until at least November, December. Okay. Thanks for that, mate. Appreciate that. Aussie champ is, well, is he scared? Well, I don't know. I'm not in his head, Sweet as, but I definitely think he's got no intentions of fighting Terra Moana. And look, Terra Moana, in my opinion, is so far above every other heavyweight in Australia. It's ridiculous. Maybe Dempsey McKean would give him a good fight, but I certainly don't think Stephen Ivic would. Is he scared? Well, I suppose that's a question that Stephen Ivic's going to have to answer, isn't it? So you think Harrison would beat? I can't see. Be a very competitive fight, Adam, from where Harrison is at this stage of his career and where Michael is. No, I'd probably, if it was in Australia, I'd probably slightly back Zarafa, mate. If it's anywhere apart from Australia, I'd be backing Harrison. All right. Desley seemed to have no idea how to box a southpaw and got little help from the corner. Also agree Sugar didn't get good advice either. She should have timed Thorsen when she was blitzing in awkward. She was a very awkward fighter, pound for pound, Thorsen. But again, as I said earlier, I'm just still staggered. There was absolutely nothing coming from either corner. Desley's corner were trying, I suppose, to give her a little bit of input, but I don't think there's really anything they could have said that was going to save Desley Robinson in that fight, unfortunately. As for Neeks, yeah, the advice in the corner was shocking. It was just non-existent, wasn't it? So Eddie Hearn saying Aussie heavyweights are scared to fight Terra Moana. The offers he has made are laughable. Put up some proper dollars and we'll get a fight. Yes, it's a hard fight, but pay up properly. I'm with you there, Sweet as. I'm not sure what he's been offering, but I would think that Eddie Hearn, if he's serious about getting the Aussie heavyweights up to fight Terra Moana, they will be saying, all right, we're going to pay him 40, if not 50 grand. That's pretty much what he's going to have to put up from the fight, Terra Moana. And if Terra Moana is going to have to take 10 or 15 for now, he's going to have to take it. If he wants those fights, unfortunately, he's going to have to get the 25% split, and the opponent's going to have to get 75%. And you might be saying, hey, that just doesn't make sense. Terra Moana's the A side. He should get the money. No, it doesn't work that way. When you're someone like him and you're on the up coming through, a lot of times you'll see the A side getting paid way less than the B side because they have to pay the B side a lot of money just to get him in the ring. And if they want to, and they know what they're there for, they're there to get knocked out. They want to be compensated for it. I don't blame them. If the Aussie heavyweights know they're going to get KO'd by Terra Moana, well, I would expect them to have the hand out for the 40 or 50K. And Eddie Hearn, if he's serious about progressing Terra Moana and getting him those fights, well, he's got to pony up. You can't come out here and offer him $15,000. I'll just laugh at you. So I would hope that Eddie Hearn would know this. They do some research into the Australian market. You can't offer peanuts and then say they're all scared of Terra Moana. I can't understand why no one would fight him. Well, would you want to get in there and get knocked out for nothing or next to nothing? By the time you have all your fees and all this sort of stuff taken out and percentages and all that sort of stuff, you might walk away with $8,000 or $9,000, maybe 10 for getting knocked out. I don't think so. If you want to get, if you know what you're going to get when it comes to fighting Terra Moana, then you want to be paid well, and that's where I would see it anyway. And again, as a former promoter, I know the way the fighters think and the managers think. And no doubt they would want 40 to 50 to fight Terra Moana, maybe even more. Who knows? It's Eddie Hearn, remember. They know he's got some good coin. They know he's made a good profit last year in the financial year. I don't blame him for wanting the fight. And if Eddie Hearn's serious about not only Terra Moana, his career, but also about furthering Aussie boxing, then he should be ponying up. So you can't offer $10,000 or $15,000 and then complain that no one wants to take the fights. All right, Tony, the upcoming Nikita fight will be very similar to the Shanika fight. Marnie will come out with extremely fast hands, and I hope Nikita's corner help him to adjust. Ben hands of snow, Marnie. It's a snow, I like that. Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot for Ben Marnie to hold Nikita off there, Tony. The strength. Look, Nikita is a very strong guy. I wouldn't say he's a massive puncher, but he's a strong puncher. But more importantly, he's a strong guy. I just think Ben Marnie's he's got very, very good boxing skills, good boxing IQ, but I just think you need more than that up against Nikita. I think he needs something to get his respect, and that's probably where I think Michael Zarafa was very surprised when he fought Nikita, just how strong he was. I'm not saying it had anything to do with the I can't see moment, but I just think that he was surprised at how strong and hard that Nikita was. Might have contributed to his decision to take his easy way out. I don't know, but I think Ben will be surprised as well about how strong Nikita is, and I think it'll be the reason why Nikita probably ends up stopping Ben Marnie late in the fight, in my opinion. Would I be right in guessing the real reason why no heavyweights from Australia have fought Terra Moana is most of them are linked with No Limit, and No Limit has no interest in working with Matchroom? No, I wouldn't go that far, Tommy. I think they would work together. I think Eddie Hearn has actually said that he's had conversations with No Limit about certain things. Like I just said, mate, it comes down to money. They don't want to fight because of the money. That's as simple as that. All right. Could you educate me, as I don't understand how Zarafa is possibly looking to fight Harrison, signed by Matchroom, and after Nikita debacle, I thought he might consider pulling up stumps. Well, he's definitely not going to do that, Tony. Look, he's still got 2 or 3 years, if maybe even 5 years, Tony, really, Zarafa. He looks after himself pretty well and hasn't taken a lot of punishment. I know he's had a couple of tough fights, but overall, he's in pretty good nick. And I think Harrison's the perfect fight for him. It does make sense. But again, the money's got to be there. And if Eddie's not willing to front up the money, Harrison wouldn't come out here cheap. I would be staggered if he came out here for less than 100 to fight Michael Zarafa, maybe 70 or 80, who knows. But I'd be staggered if he went any amount below that. So while it's a good matchup in theory, Eddie, I'm not so sure he would want to put the money into Michael Zarafa. I don't think he's really keen on investing in Michael Zarafa and spending money. Like Terra Moana's different. He's a young up-and-coming heavyweight. Zarafa's on the tail end of his career. And Eddie Hearn's obviously using him for content or a card filler here in Australia to front his cards here in Australia. He's not looking to invest in him at all. So I'd be staggered if he front up with the money for a Tony Harrison. I think the reason he signs Zarafa is purely and solely to hope that he can get the Nikita Tszyu fight. And if he can't get that fight, well, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael has 2 or 3 fights underneath him. He might try and get him a fight overseas on a card and put him in with a really good world-class fighter, and it's either sink or swim for Zarafa. That's where I see it. I think he's signed him initially for content in Australia, and as I said, maybe the Nikita fight, because that's where he'll cash in. But worst case, it'll be off to the UK, I think, for Zarafa, or maybe the US against a real solid middleweight on a card, and that'll be either measure up or you're gone. That's where I think Eddie would be in regards to Zarafa. What do we got there? What do you got there, mate? Just started a new job today. Good on you, Ryan. I'm not a builder anymore. More a building consultant. Well, there you go. It's a lot easier work. Just got home. Just wondering if you can start the show over again. Sorry, mate. You're going to have to go back to the start afterwards, mate. I'm not sure how many comments I'm behind here, but anyway. All right. What's your thoughts on how they score amateur fights with the 10-must system now? If fighter A wins the first 2 rounds, makes it near impossible for fighter B to come back. I don't like it, Shadow Boxer. I get why they've done it. They want to sort of tie it more in with the pro scoring system and make it more pro-orientated. I don't like it. You're right. You win, when you lose the first 2 rounds, you're pretty much done. So I think they had to do 2 things. One is leave it as the push button system, or if they're going to go to this 10-point must system, go back to a 5 by 2 minute round fight. But the problem with that is the fights take way too long. They've got the women's in there as well now, so the shows just take ages to go through. The 2-3 rings going at the same time. It's a lot to get officials for and to oversee properly. But when I was fighting at the end of my career, they were 5-2s, but it was different. There was 5-2s, but with the push button system. Now they've got 3 rounds with the 10-point must system. And not just that, if you get a point taken away as well, you may as well say you've lost the fight as well. So I don't like it, Shadow Boxer. I think just with the amateur side of things, I think they've got to really revamp that. Stop calling it amateur boxing. It's not really amateur, because a lot of the best amateur fighters will beat the best pro fighters in a lot of occasions. But they did try it years ago. They got rid of the name amateur boxing and called it Olympic style boxing. I don't know why they went back to amateur boxing, because it's not now. You can earn all sorts of money for it. They put up prize money and everything in some events as well. I think they've just got to revamp the whole thing. Now they've taken off head guards and all this sort of stuff, and now the 10-point must system. Stop calling it amateur boxing. Just call it something else. It's a different sport. Just change it, because the amateur boxing that I knew when I was fighting is nothing like it is today. As I said, with the scoring system, the rounds, we had head guards, all that sort of stuff. I don't get where it's going at the moment, and I just think it's in no man's land, amateur boxing at the moment. And the fact you can go from amateur to pro and pro back to amateur, that's ridiculous. So just call it, it's a total different sport, because it's not amateur boxing anymore. It's just not. And the fact, as I said, there's money on the line and you can go back and forth. Like Theobald yesterday, who beat Desi Robinson, is now going back to the amateurs. She's a unified world champion. And now she's going back to the amateurs to fight in the Olympic Games. I mean, that is just ridiculous. Anyway. What have we got? Drew. It's kind of ironic how for years Benavidez was locked out of a Canelo fight from Suleiman, and now Suleiman is pushing Benavidez to be the next superstar of boxing. Good point, Drew. Very, very good point, mate. I agree with you. Shadow Boxer, who had the best performance of the 21st century? Crawford versus Spence, Inoue versus Fulton, Mayweather versus Corrales, Canelo versus Charlo, Pacquiao versus De La Hoya, Loma versus Rigondeaux. Well, I was initially going to say Crawford over Spence, but I just think from what we saw of his fight with Tim, I know it was 3 years earlier, and we didn't know what we were going to get with Spence back then, but I think that's maybe, well, I won't say put an asterisk beside that win, but it's definitely watered it down a little bit if you ask me, Shadow Boxer. I think Manny Pacquiao, although De La Hoya was pretty much washed as well, wasn't he? But that performance from Manny Pacquiao was amazing. He absolutely just took De La Hoya apart. But again, De La Hoya did reveal afterwards that he was drinking and wasn't training properly and pretty much wanted to quit after the first round. So, and Fulton, well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I would think maybe Loma versus Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux was a really good fighter, I think he was a dual Olympic gold medalist as well, and Loma just beat him easy and made him quit. So maybe Loma, I think, Shadow Boxer. I'll just take a drink there. All right, Pera Tua Pawa, we'll say there. The woman that beat Dezo is going places for sure. Yeah, she's a very good fighter, mate. Very good fighter. All right, seriously, the whole AJ versus Fury fight is now as satisfying as eating the leftovers from Neil's dog bowl. Ooh, yeah, you wouldn't want to do that, Drew. But yep, this has to be the most unsatisfying expired fight ever. In its prime, it would have been epic. Yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. And I have said, and I'll stand by that. I think that the two fighting a week or two ago has done this fight so much more negative than good. I know they both sort of wanted to tune up, and I get that. Well, maybe I don't get it, because they didn't really need to, if you ask me. They're both experienced guys. They both had a fight already earlier this year, so I don't know why they needed another one. Maybe AJ with maybe the mental scars from what happened with the car accident. Maybe Fury because he's been out for so long. But they should have just made this fight for September or something like that, and forgot about all the tune-up fights, Drew. Should have made it for... Shit, they could have done it Cinco de Mayo weekend in Vegas if they wanted to, although that's, of course, when is the... that's not Cinco de Mayo, the Independence weekend, but I think that's Garcia and Ben, I think, September 12th. But, yeah, I'm with you, mate. From seeing both guys a couple of weeks ago, I'll still look forward to the fight to some extent with the build-up and just the magnitude of the fight itself, I suppose. But as far as being really looking forward to the fight itself, yeah, I've sort of lost my appetite for it a little bit, Drew, but... maybe the promoters will do a good job in the lead up to it and make us sort of forget the recent events and focus on what they've done in the past and whatever. But yeah, I just think they did the fight so much harm a couple of weeks ago instead of benefiting it. Big J, the problem with the simps that just want to watch the weigh-ins and subscribe to their OnlyFans is that those people don't ever buy a pay-per-view or ticket to support the fight. Sorry, it's to support the sport, just the girl. That's why I hate it. Yeah, that's a good call, Big J. Yep. They don't watch their fights, or a lot of them don't anyway, and they don't certainly buy pay-per-views, that's for sure. They'll just watch the content. So, look, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's up to the individuals, isn't it? But maybe they just use that platform of the weigh-in to get their OnlyFans and don't really care whether they watch their fight or not. It's a whole different living for them, a whole different business for them, isn't it? They know that people will watch the fights on TV, the boxing fans, and then they're just trying to either get the boxing fans to sign up or get a viral type of video or photo or something and get more people to sign up to the OnlyFans. But anyway, again, not for me, mate. So I can kind of understand the OnlyFans for some women boxers, says Drew. A lot of women boxers don't have a strong enough financial situation to fund their boxing careers and living situation. Yep. Like I said earlier, Drew, that's my thoughts as well. Plus, do we really need pervert fans in boxing? The sport has enough problems without advertising adult content on top of all the controversies and BS that surrounds the sport. But again, Big J, I mean, the perverts, I'm sure, watch football and rugby league and soccer. I mean, they're out there in society, Big J. We see them all over the internet now being caught and everything else. Again, just don't subscribe. That's all. Let the girls do their thing. Let the perverts sign up. I really couldn't care less. I don't like the weigh-in side of things with some of the outfits, but apart from that, I couldn't care less. And what do you got there? Sport has enough problems without advertising adult content. Again, look, who cares? That's my view anyway. If there's advertising on the ring or the singlets or the ropes, whatever it might be, who cares? I don't subscribe to it. I don't follow any of it. Let the perverts do their thing. Again, I'll say it's up to the women to do what they want to do. And if they want to earn it by doing that on the side, then again, good luck to them. Big J says to Drew about the money. That's a load of garbage. The women are getting paid more than ever to fight these days. Plus, not even 10 years ago, boxers were PT and had real jobs. They don't need to turn to OnlyFans to make money. Strongly disagree with that one there, Big J. Yes, they do get paid a lot more, but only the MVP fighters. I've heard of fighters in world title fights getting paid $3,000 or $4,000, mate. So it's not a lot. The MVP girls, I'm sure, are getting well paid. But let's put it to this: when is enough? Like, let's just say I'm only picking a number here. Let's say on the weekend, and I don't know anything about this, but let's say Shanika Johnson got paid $150,000. That's great, but why earn $150 when you can earn $250 by signing up some OnlyFans subscribers? That's what they do. So would you turn down? I mean, I think you've said in the past yourself that you're doing YouTube with hopefully the potential to make a few bucks out of it down the track. Well, that's a secondary income. I don't understand why what the big deal is, apart from morally. Yes, they get paid more than they did 10 years ago. And can it be defined as a real job? Maybe not. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if you had the ability to make, some of these girls make $1 million a year or something out of it. If you had the ability, I'll probably put this question to you. If you had the ability to earn $1 million a year by having an OnlyFans account, I would pretty much guarantee that you'd be doing exactly the same thing. So each to their own. Again, I'll say if you've got it, flaunt it. If you've got the ability to earn that type of money on the side of boxing, then knock yourself out. Good on you. Yes, okay, it's arguable that it's a real job or not, but who cares? I got no doubt anyone out there, Big J included, if you had the ability to earn up to $1 million a year doing OnlyFans, I guarantee you'd be doing it as well. So how can we begrudge these girls from doing it? Yes, again, I'll say I don't like the smutty type of things they do at the weigh-ins and a few other social media things they do, but it's not my business. I only watch them fight. I couldn't care less about the other stuff. So what they do is up to them. The only thing I will say, yes, and actually Big J is said it in the next comment, strangely enough, sends a terrible message to the young women. The only way to make money is to be an OnlyFans girl. BS, where's the dignity? Yeah, that's probably one thing I was just going to say, old mate, or Big J, is that I don't like the message it sends to young females or sports people or whoever it might be. But again, I just can't begrudge someone that can earn that type of money. I just can't. You know, again, I don't like it morally, but what's my opinion count? I don't have to watch it, and I don't. So anyway. Perception of music. Can we put the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight in England, please? Yeah, well, Eddie Hearn's fighting the fight there, mate, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, mate. It's going to be in the USA. Tommy, part of Harrison's talking today was being flown over in economy. I did see that, in a metal seat. There you go. What is normal practice of flying in opponents from somewhere like America? Is there expectations regarding that? There probably would be, Tommy, but I think horses for courses. I can guarantee that Errol Spence was flying business class or first class over here in his team. Make no mistake about that. But look, DeAndre Savage has been brought over here pretty much to get knocked out by Terry Moana. He's going to get a payday. There's limited budget. I wouldn't be surprised if Fox Sports is, or it's not main event, Fox Sports has put up maybe 100, 150K for this card. You only got so much money to spend, Tommy. It's not a pay-per-view. There's no money being made. So if they're getting 100, 150 from Fox Sports, they might make another 100 on the gate, if that. So they might only make a couple of $100,000 out of it. You've only got so much money to spend, mate, and production and all that's not cheap. So that's probably why. It does surprise me, though, that they flew him over in the middle seat. They could at least pick his seat beforehand and gave him a window seat or an aisle seat anyway. Zarafa Ortiz on this Matchroom card, not Harrison. Yep, we know that, mate. I don't dislike Eddie Hearn as much as a Zuffa version of Max Kellerman, but I'm really getting over Eddie hijacking press conferences to make everything about him. Well, that's Eddie. That's Eddie. Yep, talk of San Diego. Glad you're the only one that dislikes the new Max. I can't stand him, mate. I can't stand him at all. Where are we there? All right, whoever wins the two, is that Tio versus Rowley fight? Where do they go from there? Well, the winner probably fights the winner of Garcia and Ben, I would think, depending on what happens with Zuffa and everything. Both have been rumoured to be going to Zuffa. So I think that would be the next fight. That would probably make sense, their perception. Although Devin Haney, he might be in the mix as well. Don't know. What I can say, mate, is I've got no doubt we're going to have a great round robin of 147-pound fights. Throw Liam in there as well. I can't wait for the next 2 years. We're going to have some great fights at 147. Can't stand Clarissa Shields, but I have to unfortunately declare her the GOAT. I can't see the Canadian girl as good as she is beating Clarissa. I have to see Shields beaten to actually believe it. Yeah, it's a good call, Drew. No one's really come close yet, have they? Keep going through there because I didn't realise I've only got about 5 minutes to go. Liam Paro is far from ducking. He deserves a payday. What's the issue? I'm with you there, Richard. Yep. And I commented this morning about Tim Bradley saying that he was ducking Devin Haney. No, Liam Paro would no way in hell would duck Devin Haney. He's probably just put a reasonable price on his head to put his belt up, and they thought they were going to lowball Liam and shortchange him, and he said, no, I'll just. Because if I think someone made a good point today on, might have been the YouTube video I put up, that if Keyshawn Davis was offered $3 million to fight Devin Haney, he didn't have a belt, Liam Paro should at least get that amount of money to put his belt up. But I got a feeling they've gone back to Liam and said, we'll give you $1 million or less to put the belt up. And he said, no way. And I don't blame him. That's not pricing yourself out. That's just wanting what you're worth. Keyshawn Davis tried to price himself out. Liam Paro's just asking for what should be paid to a unified title holder or another title holder. So I was really surprised and pretty pissed off that Timothy Bradley would accuse Liam Paro of ducking Devin Haney, because there's no way in hell he'd ever do that. Adam Hurley. Clarissa Shields fighting an old fart. That's guatabolical. Yeah, well, Kay Scott's pretty good. I think she's 42 or something, but she's in pretty good nick. But yeah, I think she's in a bit of trouble. Shakur is a ring champ. Zuffa don't have a 140-pound division. Good call there, pound for pound. I didn't even think of that. Sorry, Lyndon, but it's unrealistic to expect a reporter to hold Dana to the fire with challenging questions. They won't risk losing the media credentials with Dana. Yep, 100%, mate. I agree. Terramona versus Hooney. Who wins? Hooney for me, Drew. I think he beats Terramona. I think the way he fights, the head movement coming up underneath. Terramona is not the fastest guy in the world. Hooney's very fast with his hands and feet and his head. I'm just not so sure Terramona. Oh, look, if he lands a big one, don't get me wrong, he could end it. I just think Hooney's way too clever, way too slick and talented. I think he beats Terramona pretty comfortably. Terramona, Hooney, they did a lot of sparring, some pretty interesting days. Ter wears him down late. Yeah, I don't think Terramoana's got the stamina, mate. Not that we'd have a clue because he hasn't been past the second round, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he might fade a bit late, mate. I reckon Hooney'd win on points. Drew, I'm in the minority, but I felt a bit sorry for Zarafa at today's press conference. He looked a little sheepish, like he had PTSD from the Keita fight, like it was at his ex-wife's wedding. Yeah, he did. It wasn't his normal self, was he? What's your thoughts on ring girls? Big J says Shadow Boxer. He replies with, ring girls have been a long-standing part of boxing, and that's fine. Those girls have always been conducted with class and not selling porn on the internet. Well, I don't know. What do you reckon of them wearing G-strings and all that, though, Big J? Our ring girls were always dressed very classy. We had them in grid girl type of outfits, nothing too revealing. And then later we actually had them in show dress or dressing show gowns, whatever they are, dance, long gowns anyway. You know what I'm getting at, dresses. Says, I hear, but it's still sexualized. Let's be honest. Also, not all OnlyFans accounts are porn. Most are like, can I say that as well? I'm not so sure. Most are like bike riding pics and stuff. No different to them at the beach. Yeah, I've never seen OnlyFans shadow boxes, so I can't comment. Glenn agrees. At the end of the day, it's legal. The girl's choice and makes up for the pittance they get paid. Yep, that's where I see it too, mate. All right, you girls talking about the OnlyFans. All right, well, I think we might end it there. I think we've got to the end right on the right time. You guys talking about OnlyFans. I'm sure you can continue to do that. Just a heads up to you guys. There's no, well, we did obviously the interview with Glenn Jennings yesterday. Make sure you checked it out. There's no show on Wednesday because the fights are on, obviously. Next week, we're going to have ring announcer Stephen Pios on the show. This is the Wednesday show, the Wednesday edition. Next Monday will be as normal for here. But Stephen Pios will be on next week, which is August the 19th, I think. So look out for that. Really interested in getting his perspective on things and a ring announcer's view. He's in the best possible seat in the house, in the ring, announcing the fighters and everything else. And he also knows a lot about boxing as well. So looking forward to having him on the show talking boxing. And also, obviously, every morning with walking boxing as well. So, guys, having said that, thanks very much for joining in. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next time on Talking Boxing.